Let's expand this conversation by one with someone you all know, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat who sits on the Rules and Administration Committees. And Senator, thank you for being part of our coverage. What can you tell us about the nature, if not content, of some of the evidence we are not expecting, some of the evidence that has perhaps not been in the public domain so far?
Well, as horrific as the evidence we've already seen on TV over the last few weeks has been, I think you're going to see even more because, of course, the managers of this case had access to police data and other things, and a video of officers and other places. Security cameras were, of course, all over the Capitol that they're going to be able to use. And I think it's going to be even more disturbing than what you've already seen. And I would agree with Michael about how this is very personal to every member of the Senate as I look at the case. But I think what Nicole said at the beginning was so true. This is really a security case. This is a moment for our country. Are we going to send a message and allow a president, when they lose an election, just to unleash an angry mob on the Capitol? To put it in a more humorous note, it was Trevor Noah who said, you can't get fired from Best Buy and just go out and steal a TV on the way out. There are laws in this country, and this president should be held accountable for inciting an angry mob to literally loot and invade another equal branch of government. And very sadly, people died. A police officer died. 2 police officers died by suicide. Another one died from injuries. We had a woman trampled to death on the steps of the Capitol. This is a national security issue for our country.
Senator, and the security threat posed by adherence to the lie and rancor over the result of the election because of the lies that were fed to a lot of Donald Trump supporters by Donald Trump and amplified by his allies in the media and his allies in the Senate. We are under threat as a country until the end of April, according to the Department of Homeland Security. And I wonder what specifically your concerns are about the Capitol around this proceeding.
Well, we're going to start a series of oversight hearings after this impeachment hearing is over with Homeland Security, with my committee that I chair, the Rules Committee, to look at what can we do better. Clearly, there were errors made, major errors in terms of intelligence conveyance, in terms of decisions. But to me, I'm not taking that out on the officers that were standing next to us that had cuts all over their face as they got us out of the Senate. If there's discipline actions, they'll be taken. But we have to look at a whole as a Capitol. What should the perimeter be? What actions can we take? Because obviously you can have copycats, you can have other interests, and then you still have violent extremism in this country, and you still have Donald Trump out there stirring things up. And so that's why this is so important for history to get the facts out. And we can do, as I've said many times, 3 things at once. Get the cabinet members confirmed. We are doing that. Get the pandemic package through, #1 for the country. We are doing that. And get through this impeachment hearing. Americans are balancing everything, and we can do it in the U.S. Senate.
Senator, as you see the investigative journalism really unpack the ties that the insurrectionists had to members of the Republican Party who are in Congress, can you just take us inside what it's like inside the Capitol, where you've got some House members chafing at the idea of going through metal detectors? You've got people who think it's so dangerous they want to carry guns but don't want to vote to hold accountable he who incited the insurrection itself. How does that land? How do you guys talk to each other?
Well, I'm in the Senate, and we have worked as hard as we can just to proceed. I mean, we must go forward for our country. And what I'm more worried about is what you led with, and that is the security of our nation. I think we're going to have to find a way to work together. I clearly supported the decision to kick the representative off of her committees. There has to be accountability when people are spouting complete untruths, complete lies. But at the same time, honestly, Nicole, my heart is with the fragility of our democracy right now. And the way we uphold that is getting the facts out and making sure the public understands them, because we're not going to get through QAnon if people keep spouting out lies. And they need to see the facts, and they're going to see it in this.
Amy, it's Claire. I want to ask you, what does it feel like on the inside in terms of Republicans in the Senate? Do you sense there will be votes for witnesses this time on the Republican side? Because obviously we're talking about a 50-50 tie with no vice president to break if the Democrats want witnesses and the Republicans don't. Are Susan or Mitt or any of the Republicans actually lobbying their colleagues to try to get them to do the right thing on this trial?
You'll have to ask them that. But what I do know is that the House managers will make a decision about whether or not they think we should call witnesses. I mean, Claire, you are a great former prosecutor, and you know trials take twists and turns. And while this isn't a criminal proceeding, those decisions will be made when the moment comes. And I just think they want to preserve their right to do it right now. That is allowed for, to ask for witnesses under the schedule that was negotiated between our Senate Majority Leader, Senator Schumer, and the Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. And that was a bipartisan agreement. So I believe that they'll decide that as the time goes on, and then we'll go from there. But for me, it's really important to not just close my eyes to where the Republicans are on this and not to think they have completely closed minds. People get convinced. The people of Georgia, I don't think anyone thought they were going to vote for 2 Democrats for Senate. They did. They listened to the facts. Juries, as you know, oftentimes maybe they have one view starting out and evidence is presented and they change their mind. I think that's where we are, not with all of the senators. I'm not a Pollyanna about some of them, believe me. But I think there's still people that have open minds. So let's see how this unfolds and start viewing it, as you have so profoundly said, this should be a matter of conscience for each senator when they look at the evidence. This has got to be more than just about how this is going to look in my election next time.
We are watching the door, looking at arrivals among legal team members. Our thanks to Senator Klobuchar for adding so much to our coverage. Our guests remain with us. We're going to